I had mounted my inverted V 40 meter zigzag antenna on a 3 meter long CPVC hot water pipe kept on the fence of first floor terrace. 10 meters of HLF 200 coaxial cable with PL259 connectors at both ends was used to connect the feed point to the radio. As per advice given by fellow hams, I tried to raise the antenna a bit. As the 3/4 inch CPVC pipes were not strong enough to be extended to 6 meter, I decided to use a surplus GI pipe which I had of 6 meter length. There was a pre-drilled hole at about 2 feet from one end. I used it to thread a nylon wire and shape it as a sling on which I could pull up the antenna. Fix the GI pipe on the first floor fence with 5 nylon string ties so that it was fairly stable in the vertical position. Position in which the mast could be tied on the fence securely was not corresponding to the feed point of the antenna. So it turned out to be a modified inverted V as shown in the initial sketch, which is not according to scale. Previous configuration is shown here for comparison. Please note that this is not an optimal antenna configuration, only a method of suiting to my space constraints. After all, amateur radio is for experimentation and innovation. I am sure that there are many more city-dwelling radio amateurs out there with space constraints like me, or even more. This post is also intended to motivate them to try out whatever configuration is feasible in their setup. Used an SO239 barrel connector to join another piece of HLF 200 cable with pre-crimped PL259 connectors at both ends. This time I did not keep the surplus HLF 200 cable as a coil in the shack. Instead, I made a large loop and fixed it on the terrace at about 5 feet height using nylon wire ties. This is in an attempt to prevent a coil of cable from acting as an additional inductor in the circuit and possibly acting like an electrically shortened loaded coil dipole. Checked the SWR of the new configuration and found that it has changed from the previous configuration as expected. SWR was 1.4:1 at the lower end of the band and 1.7:1 at the middle of the band, while it was 2.5:1 at the upper end. Did not go for any further trimming or lengthening of the antenna wire for time being, as I was a bit tired after doing all the job single-handedly. I could check into the VU2 VWN Vasant net on 7050 kHz and Chamina net on 7080 kHz comfortably. After that, I could also have comfortable contacts with stations at Shimoga 430 km and Belgaum 530 km. Further refinements planned for the next day if possible to improve these personal distance records. I know very well that this is not the maximum distance possible with my HF radio on 40 meter SSB. I am driving only 70% of the maximum RF power. Actual power delivered is much lower. Maybe I will try coiling the surplus HLF 200 coil and check whether it will shift the point of minimum SWR as I noted in my previous configuration with 30 meter of RG213 cable. I had put about 15 meter of the surplus cable as a coil with 23 turns of about 20 cm diameter inside my shack. This time I might keep a smaller coil on the terrace to see whether it will act like a common mode choke, as I do not have a balun at the feed point to match the balanced dipole antenna to the unbalanced coaxial cable feed line.